Hey guys, Space Ferrari 248, or Alex here to talk about my experience at Dover. Yeah, it was one of the best races I've ever been to, and I definitely mean that. And to be, I just want to get this out of the way now. I'm not gonna let the overtime line nonsense ruin my fun and experience at Dover, even though I'm a Jimmy Johnson fan, but I'm going to get to that later. First, my mom and I were traveling to Delaware, and of course, we got a lot of bad drivers in New York. I really wish I brought my GoPro for that, to be honest, because there were a lot of dumbass street racers, and they weren't even driving sports cars. Like, what the fuck are they trying to prove? Seriously? But anyways, on to the racing. So far, Kyle Busch is leading the race as he, of course, got the pole. And then as soon as the first caution came out, everyone pitted. And then, of course, the shocking moment happened, which would be Kyle Busch's tire falling off. I did not expect that at all. But then again, Kyle Busch has been getting a lot of awful luck lately. Surprisingly, he hasn't gotten a win yet lately this year. That's very unusual for Kyle Busch's standards, to be honest. But then again, Kyle Busch eventually bounced back a little bit, but not entirely. He ended up finishing, 16th? I don't remember if he got his lap back or not, but he is known for bouncing back a lot. I don't think he ever led another lap again after that incident because his pit crew forgot to put all lug nuts on. Losers. And from what I heard, I think they got suspended. I don't know. And then, of course, right after that, Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. dominate the race. I think it was Truex that won the first stage, then Kyle Larson won the next. And fun fact, well, actually, this is a not so fun fact, dishonorable fact, rather. This is the fourth time I've seen Kyle Larson finish second. Fourth time. Well, even then, even though I was kind of disappointed about that, at least he lost to the right guy as opposed to some driver I wouldn't say I dislike or get bored of, but rather a driver I'm just simply not so excited to see win. No offense to whoever those drivers were. I can't quite remember all of them, Joey Logano being one of them. No offense to Joey Logano. Nothing against Logano, too. But I just want to see Kyle Larson win eventually. Which I probably will at New Hampshire or something. There's always New Hampshire for both Larson, Truex, and Chase Elliott. And, of course, eventually another good car gets wrecked out, which happens to be Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski, even though that only took Kurt Busch 2 wrecks for him to get fully wrecked out of the race, unfortunately. And this is the second race in a row where Brad Keselowski gets wrecked out early, and to be honest, even though I'm not a fan of him, I did feel bad for him because he definitely has had strong potential for both those races. It makes me even feel more bad since one of my closest friends, known as Mark Riggleman, is a Brad Keselowski fan, and I can't help but to feel horrible for my friend Mark, since he has suffered a lot with Brad Keselowski's negatives in his career. Because it was hard enough that Mark Martin was fucked out of a championship multiple times, 5 times no less, for my friend Mark Riggleman. It was hard enough he had to suffer through that. He doesn't want to suffer through a lot of the negatives with Brad Keselowski this time. So that's why I have a lot of sympathy for Mark whenever Brad Keselowski loses, even though I'm not a big Brad Keselowski fan. Then, of course, right when I think Kyle Larson was going to win, I was hoping nothing would nobody would crash and no one would bring out the caution. Of course, just like that, David Reagan hits the wall. And then what happens after that? Big one. When past the overtime line. Well, that was easy. You ruined that for Kyle Larson, even though I was super excited to see Jimmy Johnson win that race. Tying Cale Yarborough, Jimmy Johnson's hero, no less. I was ecstatic to see him win. I bet you couldn't imagine how incredibly excited I was to see that. This is like, the fourth time I've seen Jimmy Johnson win a race, but he wasn't making history with those previous 3 races. I've seen him make history now, twice. When he won his 6th championship, and now when he won his 83rd win, tying Cale Yarborough. Man, was that badass to see him. Man, did it make another reason why 2017 so far is the best year ever. Let me give you guys a quick rundown of why 2017 is the best year ever. I met my all-time best friend in Arizona. I saw my all-time favorite band alive at Gillette Stadium, Metallica. And I saw Jimmy Johnson make history at Dover. Any win from Jimmy Johnson is a great win, but to make history by tying Cale Yarborough, his hero no less, is a wicked special one. Really special. And if there's anything I am proud of, actually, you may be surprised that I'm saying this, but I'm actually glad he ran out of gas at the Coca-Cola 600. Just so I can see him win at Dover for the 83rd time, as opposed to seeing his 83rd win at the Coca-Cola 600 on TV. I would rather see it in person rather than on TV, so I'm glad Jimmy Johnson ran out of gas. Not because I'm a hater of his, or not because I'm a fan of Austin Dillon per se. Congratulations, Austin Dillon, by the way. But I just wanted to see him make history in person, since this was definitely special to me, his fans, and of course himself, since he said he was a fan of Cale Yarborough growing up. I couldn't imagine how over the galaxy everyone that's a fan of his or associated with him was when he won his 83rd win. His daughters were, for sure, were over the galaxy. And that picture right there, I would say, is a bigger trophy to Jimmy Johnson than any race trophies he's ever had. Somebody is proud of her daddy. If there's one thing that Jimmy Johnson taught me, 2017, by the way, was a pretty rough start to the year, by the way. I was pretty much depressed that a lot of friends and shit were betraying me, and a lot of problems were going on in terms of money, and the transmission in my car was breaking down, and I pretty much accepted an unsatisfying future and accepted that there was nothing going to go my way. I even accepted that I was never going to... that there was going to be a lot of dreams that were going to flop. Seeing my favorite band, Metallica, live included. Until my mom helped me with the ticket. And I have her to thank for that. Well, even though she says that I bought the ticket and not her. But then again, she was trying to buy the tickets while I was at work. And I can't buy the tickets while I was at work. Your parents, by the way, is not something you should take for granted. So if you have a moment to tell your parents that you love them, do it now, because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. But anyways, if there's anything Jimmy Johnson ever taught me, don't ever give up on yourself, no matter how much or how bad the negatives have been going on. He even said at his interview at Dover in 2015 that he's surprised something like that happened to him, but we should not let this negative drag us down a lot, and just try again next year. Just like what happened in the Coca-Cola 600 a few weeks ago on the Memorial Day weekend. It's a big negative, but try again next race. I mean, Dover was his playground anyway. Do not ever let the negatives drag you down. Do not ever let the negatives overcome you. Never give up, no matter how far deep down at rock bottom you really are. Always believe. Suck it up. Bad things can happen, and life won't always be bad. And your situations won't always be bad. That's one thing Jimmy taught me throughout his racing career and throughout my life, being a fan of his. And of course, no matter how many races you win, or how many championships you win, or how many milestones you make, sometimes just being a dad is the best thing in the world too. "2017, as like I said earlier, it's just been one of the best years ever. Seeing my all-time best friend in Arizona, see my all-time favorite band at Gillette Stadium, Metallica, and see my all-time favorite driver, mine, if you ignore Jeff Gordon and Chase Elliott, of course, win at Dover. And as a few bonuses, getting 800 subscribers, meeting Ranner and Shades, getting a A- on my college class. A lot of positives have been going on lately in 2017. And I've been trying to work on my attitude too. Trying to be less over the top negative lately, and a lot more swell and humble and shit. And man, was it a blast at Dover. One of the best Dover races ever, if not the best Dover race I have ever been to. Yes, I absolutely mean that. I'm not gonna let the overtime line bullshit ruin my fun at the race, though, because despite the fact that the overtime line nonsense kind of sort of ruined the race for a lot of people, I still thought it was a fun race. Would I would have preferred it if they did the green-white checkered? Sure. But if you think about it, even if the crash didn't happen, Kyle Larson unfortunately wouldn't have catched to Jimmy Johnson anyway. Or caught, whatever the correct grammar is. But whatever. Let's see what the rest of the half of this year holds for us. I'm sure and hope that he'll be full of surprises and treats. I don't think there's anything else I need to add here. So yeah. That race was one race to remember forever. This year is pretty much my dream year. Meeting my dream friend, my dream concert, and my dream NASCAR driver win at Dover. Just an awesome year. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you like anything else from me, feel free to subscribe. Space out, everyone.